Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about The Strangers Chapter 2. So I really didn't have any intention of doing a full review for this movie, just because of the fact that I did not get to see it in theaters, and this is kind of after the fact for it. However, I did have one of my subscribers reach out to me on Instagram, and he sent me a digital code for this movie. So I thought, why not go ahead and finally check this one out, and go ahead and do a video for it as well. So I want to say thank you to Jeremy for sending me this code and also just for being a really good supporter of mine and a good friend as well. So as far as The Strangers goes, I think that it is a good enough franchise. It's just never been one that I have been overly crazy about. I really love the first film. I think that it is really good and it was definitely scary and effective at the time. However, it's not one that I have really gone back and rewatched much at all. Like maybe once that I can remember that I rewatched this one. And then I liked Prey at Night quite a bit as well, but I don't think I've ever rewatched it either. However, since I did like both of those, I intended to still watch this whole trilogy when they put it out and stuff. It did take me a while to watch the first one, but I still intended to watch all of them when I got the chance to. And I think that the first one in this trilogy is not quite as bad as people make it out to be. I definitely do agree that there was really no new territory covered in that one. It is just, it's not shot for shot remake of the original, but it's kind of close to that, and I do wish they would have done something a little different there. However, I was a little bit more optimistic for this second one due to the fact that they obviously got their remake out of the way for the first chapter, and so this one should get to be a little bit of new territory. And I think that they did throw some new things in here. I don't know that it panned out overly well, but there is some new ground covered in this one for sure. So in this one, we do still follow Maya, the main character from the first movie, and we start out in the hospital, and from there she just has to escape the strangers and just continue to escape them and change locations throughout the film. That's kind of all there is to this one. I really do like the stuff at the hospital, though. I think that a hospital is just a really good creepy setting for a horror movie, even if it's only part of the movie. Um, I think that hospitals are just kind of creepy in general. I didn't feel that way when I was there for when I had my son, but really any other time that you really have to be at the hospital for an extended period of time, I think that it is kind of creepy. And so hospital set horror movies do work for me for that reason. But after that, she does have to spend a lot of time in the woods, and I think that one aspect of that that I really liked was the stuff with the boar. However, I will say I really hate seeing animals in horror movies. I definitely am the type of person that, you know, if a human dies in a horror movie, it's like, whatever. But you put an animal in there and they die, it makes me sad. However, this one is more of an animal attack kind of situation, and I think that it's done pretty decently well. And honestly, it might be the scariest part of the movie, which is not necessarily the best thing considering obviously the strangers are the main antagonists here and not a boar. But I do think that that stuff was well done, and it was pretty decently scary for me personally. But this one, I think it just felt very strange, this movie. It almost felt like she was kind of going backwards instead of forwards, because there were different times that she would kind of retrace her steps almost. She, at one point, gets back to the same house that she was in for The Strangers Chapter 1, so that just felt like she was kind of going backwards instead of forwards for that. And there is also a point in time where some different people try to rescue her, and she ends up getting away from them because she is suspicious of them, but she just kind of ends up back with them anyway, so it just kind of feels like she's, you know, going backwards instead of forwards. It almost feels kind of like a time loop type of thing. Not that it is that, it's definitely not. That's just the way that my brain is kind of thinking of it. And I will say that that is kind of a good thing in horror, just for the sense that it feels very repetitive and it feels like you're very stuck in that kind of situation. So that is a scary situation to be in. But I think that it was a big swing for them to give a backstory to the strangers, and I don't know that it paid off overly well. It was kind of a basic backstory. It just felt like things that we have seen before and just kind of the same backstory that we would get for real life serial killers as well. You know, just the idea that while they're still very young, they will hurt animals and then hurt, other kids or people as well. But I just think that giving them a backstory was not really the right choice because of the fact that I think what was so strong about the original film was just the anonymity factor with having them in masks the whole time. And it just was very mysterious and stuff. It does kind of take away from it to give them a backstory. And that's not something that bothers me in everything. You know, there are so many people that really hate in Halloween 2 where we find out that Laurie is Michael's sister. I like that. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with backstories overall, but I just think that specifically this one, it hurt it a little bit for me. I think that this one was okay. Again, it was not anything amazing, but I don't think that it is the worst thing that I've ever seen either. I would really like to like this more. I like Madeline Petch, I think her name is, the main character, like the actress that plays her. I think that she is a good actress, and I just think she is absolutely so beautiful. Her hair is to die for, but she is not even enough to really make this one amazing or anything. However, I definitely am going to check out the third one at some point. I really highly doubt that it will come to my cinema just because of the fact that we didn't even get the second one. We didn't even get the Bone Temple, so I think that it is not likely that we will get this one in our cinema, but I will watch it eventually and cover it on my channel as well. So if you are interested in that, be looking out for that once that movie comes out, and more likely it would be once it is released on either streaming or on DVD and stuff like that. Oh, I do have to say one other thing I about forgot to talk about. I don't want to say anything that's going to give it away too much. I mean, I don't know who is really that worried about having this one spoiled for them anyway, but I'll still kind of dance around the subject a little bit. So there is one point where Maya is driving a van and she has one of the strangers that is trying to attack her as she is doing that. And I think that the decision that she makes to try to get herself out of that situation is like just the weirdest one that she could have chosen. I thought that there was something that she could have done that would have been a way better and safer option for her. And maybe if you have watched it, you'll know what I'm talking about as well. But she just went from 0 to 100 so fast, and just took such a weird route to try to get herself out of that situation. Definitely not what I would have done. And I don't know if what I'm thinking would have panned out well enough, but I would have at least started with that instead of what she actually did do. But I want to know what your thoughts on The Strangers Chapter 2 are down in the comments. Do you think that it is absolutely horrible, or did you think it was kind of okay, just like I did, or do you actually love it? I want to know all of that down below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it. Consider subscribing if you haven't yet for more horror content. I do post 2 new videos each week. You can follow me on Instagram for updates on my channel, as well as additional horror content. You can also follow me on Letterboxd to see what I have been watching lately and my brief thoughts on any of those films. And if you want links for either of those, they are in my channel description for easy access for you guys. I want to say thank you to everyone who has been supporting me so far. It doesn't go unnoticed. My name is Devin. This is Carpenter Hill. Thanks for watching.